So it's been a little bit since I've made an actual video. On my way to Elkhart right now. It's Sunday, July 13th. So I ran a load yesterday. I just got back from vacation. I was gone all week in Las Vegas. Got back Friday night, late Friday night, around midnight, and woke up and ran a load yesterday. It's a short load. It's our shortest distance load, going to like Elkhorn, Wisconsin from Elkhart. Should be like maximum of an 8-hour load, but I think I ended up right in that 9-hour range, like including my deadhead to get to Elkhart, deliver, and then deadhead home. Had an issue with the fifth wheel. It was showing a fault on the jack leveling system, and so when I got there to hook it up, well, rewind, I had a buddy with me. It's my friend that is going to be getting into RV transport. He's going to be running with the company that I'm leased on with. He's going to actually run my truck for now. So we'll just we'll both run out of this truck in the beginning until we get busier, because it is the slow time right now. Once we get busier and he's ready to either buy a truck or I buy a second truck, but right now the owner of the company doesn't want to lease on any more trucks because that costs more money, considerably more money per month to lease on a truck. So we'll run out of this truck and go that route. So he was with me. I thought it would be a good idea to kind of bring him along, let him see how I do it, just so kind of get some knowledge there before diving into it. And I'm gonna run, at least probably his first couple loads with him. Just me sitting passenger. That way, if any questions come up or issues or anything like that. So luckily, I did have my friend with me. We kind of worked through the issue with the trailer together. It would have been it was extremely difficult as it was, and I'll explain why, but it would have been way more difficult if I was by myself, which normally would be what it would have been, especially because I was delivering on a Saturday after hours. The dealership was open, but they wouldn't have any service techs or anything there to give me a hand. It would have just been maybe a salesperson or two, and I doubt they would have had any knowledge to help me. But yeah, there was a fault in the leveling system. So when I went to hook it up at our storage lot, it would not lower. Like, we would push the button to lower and it would error out. It would drop like a 1/4 inch and error out. So couldn't figure out what it was. Tried to watch like YouTube videos to see how to clear it. Couldn't get it figured out. But I think part of the problem was it had an onboard battery already, and I think maybe the trailer had been sitting too long and the battery that was there had died out. And then the battery box is like mounted down with, I swear it was like 1 million screws. And my toolkit that I have in my truck, I don't know if I forgot to close my tailgate one time when I was doing my business, or maybe my tailgate wasn't lashed all the way and fell, but my toolkit fell out of my truck, and before I could get back to get it, someone stole it. So, because somebody had like waved me down and said, "Hey, I think you lost like a toolbox," and I was pulling my work trailer, and I'm like, "What?" I got out and I looked, and my tailgate was down, and I noticed that's what was missing. And actually, my friend that was with me yesterday was working with me in my business, and I called him because he was following behind me in his car, and he ran back to see if it was still there, and somebody had snagged it up. So I I didn't have and I forgot to order a new one to replace it or go buy a new one. So I only had like a small toolkit, and it wasn't, what I needed. So, couldn't get the battery box off or disconnected. And I don't know if the issue was that the battery didn't have enough charge, and it was equipped with solar, so when I would flip the solar on, the voltage would jump up to like 14.4 or whatever, but it would error out. So maybe the solar isn't meant to power the jack system. I don't know, because as soon as I would touch something, it would shut the whole panel off. But we eventually got it lowered down enough, and the weird thing was the right front leg, I could raise it like it wasn't the way the trailer was sitting at the storage lot. All the weight was on the left front leg, because I raised up the right front leg before even getting it connected to the truck, really. So I thought, well, maybe the jack was like too much weight was on the one side, and it was maybe like bending, because as soon as we kind of manually lowered it enough to get the weight off, like would basically lower it like a quarter inch, it would shut off, and my friend would start it back up, lower it again, and just kept repeating the process. And I noticed the left front leg kind of like when the weight got onto the truck and let off of the trailer itself, the leg like shot back a few inches, so it was a lot of weight on the one side, and it was like pulling forward. So I thought maybe that was causing the fault, because as soon as that shifted back and the weight was off of it, it allowed us to retract it no problem. So I thought maybe that was what was causing the fault, because it worked fine once that weight was off of it. Well, we got to the delivery, and it was like the system was acting up more. I guess you could say it wouldn't let us retract the legs at all. It wouldn't even move the quarter inch or whatever we were getting. So I couldn't get it to go down, and to manually lower those jacks, it required a 3/8 drive, and all I had was a quarter because of my toolkit being missing. So we were gonna run to the store. Unfortunately, there's nothing really close to where I was. Probably would have added like a 45-minute to an hour round trip going to the store, getting some tools, and getting back to the dealership. And I didn't really want to like pull into the lot with a camper, leave without unhooking it. Like, I think that would have been a weird look for like the salespeople that were there. But basically what we were able to end up doing was like get the jacks a few inches off the ground, slide some 2x4s underneath, chalk up the tires, and pull off of the hitch. So it worked. Added like I said earlier, it went from being like an 8-hour round trip to about a 9, which it was fine. Like there wasn't anything I had to be home for, but obviously, anytime you can get home earlier, it's nice. So, but it was good. My friend was there. He got to help me. He got to see that you do run into some issues here and there. Not obviously every trip. Most of them go pretty smoothly, but sometimes you do have to work through some things. I still don't know what was causing the fault. I'm almost wondering if, because that leg was so bent when I picked it up, if maybe it's like binding up, and that was caught, and it's like faulting out because it's feeling friction. I don't know. That's the only thing I can think. If you have any experience with those on a fifth wheel, it said like LF, I think for like left front, and then it had like 3. I think it was saying basically left front, left middle, right middle jack system faults. And anything on that exact fault. Like some of the videos I was watching were talking about like an LF fault, and based off what I was seeing there was like that's just a generic fault. Like it doesn't necessarily mean left front, even though it says LF. But that's like a fault that it gives if there's any issues. I don't know if that's true or not, but I couldn't find anything on the exact fault that I was getting. So, because I was trying to figure out how you could clear it, and most of what they were saying was you have to hold the button, like the retract. I don't know, there was like 2 buttons you had to hold down for like 10 seconds. But anytime I held any of the buttons down for more than like a second, the panel would shut off. Except for it would let me hold down like, I think like the rear, left rear, I think it would let me hold down for however long I wanted, and it wouldn't shut off. But any other button I touch, it would just shut off. So I couldn't figure out how to reset it, other than disconnecting the battery, which I couldn't do because I didn't have the toolkit. So mostly my fault. If I would have thought to or remembered to replace that toolkit, I would have been able to disconnect the battery. But we worked through it. Is what it is. And yeah. Other updates. I'm picking up a Salem 42 something. I think it's a pretty big travel trailer, so we'll see what I get when I get there. It's only going to, I think, Sterling, Illinois. Should be, if all goes well, like a 10-hour or less day. With both, I think both these trailers are going to be GVWR of over 10,000 pounds. So they pay a little bit more. The one yesterday, I think, probably only pays around like $450, which, like I said, is the shortest distance we have, lowest paying loads. Should be like an 8-hour day, but it ended up being like 9. So not great. And then this one I'm doing today, I think, is our second shortest load. I think it'll pay around like $510. I gotta look once I see the size of it and stuff. Again, it's should be like a maximum of 10 hours. Typically when I head out this direction that I'm going to be going today, like west in Illinois, I get a lot of wind, a lot of cornfields out there. So if I'm pulling, if it's a large one like I think it's going to be, and if I do catch any wind, that could slow me down a bit, but we'll kind of see how it goes. As of right now, it's a beautiful day. Don't see any issues. You know, if it goes well, maybe I can get it in more like a 9-hour day, but you know, I don't know for sure. But so I'll only have run 2 loads because my week finishes up today. And I'll be probably like under $1,000 total gross. It'll be somewhere right in that $1,000 range. I don't know what next week's gonna look like. I know when I reached out to my dispatcher for these loads, I reached out like last week Thursday when right before I was heading home on Friday from Vegas, and he just said he only had, I just asked if I could have a couple loads for the weekend. He said, yeah, no problem. Just hope you're not, picky, because we don't have much. And I said, just, give me whatever. So, I don't know if more loads got released or will get released, but, with the plant shutdowns and stuff in July, it does look like it's affecting us. So we'll kind of play it by ear and see if I've got any work this upcoming week. I had actually told him, when I reached out for these loads, when he said he didn't have much, I told him, if you needed to save those loads for other drivers, then, I don't need a load. I was just gonna run loads just because I hadn't run anything all week. And he said, no, you need to get them moved. So I took these loads, but like I said, I'll probably mention the same thing, is that, if there's scarce loads and other drivers need them, then give them to the other drivers, and I can hold off until it gets a little can just work within my business. I've got a lot of work that I got to get done. And this upcoming weekend, I'm going camping again. So I leave Thursday evening for a extended weekend camping trip up in the Wisconsin Dells. So, and then later in the month, I go on like a 10-day camping trip. So looks like I picked a good month to be traveling a lot, just with like the plant shutdowns and stuff like that. So hopefully come August, everything will pick back up and everybody will be busy. Other newer news, I did get my tires put on. I can't remember if I mentioned that in the other video. Finally got my center caps. Well, center cap, because I had 3 out of the 4 for the wheels, but I had to order one. That one came while I was out of town, so I got them put on yesterday morning before I left to roll out to get the trailer. So the truck looks a little bit more complete, and I'll try to do like maybe a walk around short video of that just to show what it looks like. So far, I don't notice any difference in mile per gallon. If anything, it might have got better, even though I switched to an all-terrain tire. But I went from my factory 20-inch wheels to 18-inch aftermarket wheels, and I feel like they're lighter. I didn't weigh them each individually, so I don't have any stats to go off of there. Just the seat of the pants and the fact that I feel like I'm getting a little bit better gas mileage. I noticed it on my last trip with my camper. I ended up pulling my 5th wheel now that I have, compared to the first trip I took with it. I ended up getting like 1.5 miles to 2 miles a gallon better pulling it. And then I noticed like on my deadhead yesterday, I had filled up in I can't remember what town it is in Indiana, but I had about a 50-mile run to finish up in Elkhart, and I ended up getting like 21 miles a gallon deadheading over there, and I feel like I haven't seen that high of a number potentially ever. So I think my mile per gallon is increasing, and I also noticed like a seat of the pants performance increase. Like it just feels snappier. So I'm guessing I've got, the only thing that I can think of is this wheel and tire setup is, lighter than the factory Platinum 20-inch wheels. Otherwise, I don't know why I would feel that snappiness by just, switching the wheels and tires. So I'm guessing I saved some rotating mass there, and it's I did drop. I think the tire size is about 1 inch overall shorter, so that probably helped as well. I know that if I would have went with like a 35-inch tire or something, it would have looked cooler, but I think I would have hurt my mile per gallon and overall performance. And then when I thought about it, for what I used the truck for, I didn't want to sacrifice performance and efficiency for looks when I'm putting 10,000 miles a month on the truck. It just didn't make sense. So I went with these tires, this size. Like I said, if I was going for just looks and I wasn't driving 10,000 miles a month, then 35s would have looked really cool in this truck. Maybe even like a mud terrain. But I do think that switching to the black wheels with a little bit more aggressive tread pattern really changed the overall look. It kind of got rid of like the grandpa look that you get with this Platinum, especially with the like maroon color that I have. I think it really changed the overall look. So like I said, I'll make a short video so everybody can see what it looks like a little better, and you can let me know in the comments there what you think of the truck, or if you saw the picture that I posted before in the thumbnail, then you can let me know if you think it looks good. If you think I made a mistake switching to a different wheel than the factory wheel. on the truck. I'm, just the basic like oil change, fuel filters. I'm gonna be doing sometime this month, and then I want to get the transmission fluid and filter changed out, and the rear differential serviced. And I think, just speaking with my buddy that was with me yesterday, he's very knowledgeable on cars. I think we'll switch out the diff cover for one that'll be easier to service in the future, and maybe even has some fins that'll keep it cooler. But yeah, that's kind of my plan as of right now. I gotta get all that stuff ordered so that I can get that maintenance done. Really, I want to get it done before my big camping trip, pulling my fifth wheel, because we're gonna go like Tennessee, and then over to like North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, and then back to like Kentucky, and then back to Chicago. So it'll be the longest trip that I've had taking towing a camper, and now it's going to be with my fifth wheel, and it should be a decent amount of miles. So I just want to kind of get all my maintenance in order before I jump on that trip with my family. But that should pretty much be all the maintenance I need to get done. Probably rotate the tires, get the tires rotated before I leave for that trip, because I'll have put probably around like 5,000 to 10,000 miles on it by then, somewhere in that area. My old camper, my old travel trailer, which is not old, I bought it last year, so it's a 2024 Eddie Bauer 37-foot travel trailer. I think I have a thumbnail somewhere, towing that, a video towing that trailer with my truck. I think I mentioned it in a previous video, but I could have, but I didn't trade it in on this camper because I would have lost too much money on it. So I decided to keep it, decided to rent it out. So I put it up on RV Share, which I know is controversial. Like, people say you should just do it yourself and not pay the website any money. But for right now, I wanted to start out that way, just being new and not knowing what to do with like the contracts and insurance and all that. Everything kind of gets covered through RV Share. They do take, I think my commission rate's like 25% that they take off the top, but then they also add in their fees. So overall, from what the total bill is, it looks like they're taking about 50%. But I'm okay with it. Renting it out, so I put it up, and I already got someone that's actually renting it right now. They picked it up Friday morning, took it for the weekend. They're bringing it back tomorrow sometime. I gotta find out what time it's coming back, and I gotta get it cleaned up and just inspected, make sure there's no damage, because it's going back out. Well, I gotta deliver it on Thursday, I think, this upcoming week. So the first rental, the guy was a hotshot driver, had like a 3500 Ram Cummins dually, so he went ahead, rented it to tow himself. But for the weekend, my payout is like $500 for the long weekend. And then the next trip, I think they're taking it for 8 days, and we're gonna deliver it. And I screwed up pretty big time on the delivery. I thought I was putting in a price per mile, so I think I put in like something like $2 a mile, and then it jumps up to like $3 a mile after a certain distance. But it was actually like a set price, so I basically set it up where I was delivering it for like $2. But I think it went over like that first set mileage, so it kicked into the $2 per mile after that. So it didn't save me, but it added some. I'm still gonna be losing money on the delivery and pickup, because it probably should have been like $400 or $500 pickup, and it's gonna be like overall like $200. So I'm losing out pretty big on that. It was a mistake on my end, just a misunderstanding. But I told the person that rented it that, you know, that wasn't it. That was my fault, a misunderstanding on my side, and that I would honor it, because it, you know, it wasn't their fault that I made that mistake. So I'm still gonna make like $1,000 off of that rental. Well, not make. I mean, that's my payout, will be about $1,000, but obviously I'm gonna have a cost with fuel and stuff like that getting it delivered. But it's just a learning curve, or just an experience I can learn from. I already fixed it in the system, so moving forward, anybody that rents it and wants it delivered is gonna have to pay, you know, the price that I intended on having for it. And you know, obviously I'll make considerably more. And my long-term plan is, if this works out, and which it seems like, you know, it is, because with July, just with these two rentals from, call it mid-July to end of July, my payout's like $1,500 off those two rentals. If I wasn't going through RV Share and I had my own website, it would have been closer to like $3,000. So there's obviously some money there. And so long-term plan, sorry, I saw somebody getting pulled over behind me. I want to make sure it wasn't me. My long-term plan is probably to build my own website and not have to use RV Share, you know, and I'll have my own contracts drafted up and stuff like that. But I think maybe for this season, because it's a short, you know, me starting late, getting a short start to it, or a short season, I'll just stick with the RV Share, make what I can off of it. And then actually my plan for the winter will be, I would love to find someone to rent it long term, where I can bring it down to like Florida or something, for someone that, you know, maybe spends their winters in Florida, like an older couple or something. If I can rent it out for like, you know, December, January, February, March or something like that. Because up here in the Midwest, the campgrounds, which most of the time this is probably going to be going into Wisconsin, Dells area, you know, the camping season doesn't really start until like, best case scenario, like mid-April, and it ends like mid-October. So if I could find someone to rent sometime, you know, November to March or something would be cool. I could deliver it to Florida or Georgia or wherever someone might be, and just get the rental covered that way. But we'll see. That's kind of I don't know if I can do that through RV Share, if that would have to be done, because it would be, price-wise, it would be pretty expensive for someone to do something like that through RV Share. But who knows? People have money. Maybe I'll get lucky. If not, I'll have to try to do that on my own and get stuff drafted up. But anything I, you know, can do to make some money off that, like, you know, we'll see how this first rental goes. So far, it's been, you know, fairly smooth. A little bit hectic because I was in Vegas when the person booked it, and I thought about denying it because I didn't have the camper set up the way that I wanted to have it set up. But my friend that's doing the RV transport, it actually gets stored like a mile down the road from his house, so he came in clutch, and I was able to deliver a bunch of stuff through Amazon to his house, and he set it up for me. And I actually met with the guy when he hooked it up and stuff, and I was able to pay my friend a little bit to help me with that. And you know, he saved me on that, because I probably should have not accepted the booking, just not being prepared. But the only thing that I forgot to provide that I do say that I do want to provide is the wheel chocks. I just forgot to order. I was going to order them on Amazon and have them sent, and I just forgot to. But I had a bunch of firewood in the camper, so they were able to use some of that just to chalk through RV Share, I'm able to require like $1,000 security deposit, and you know, I'll do my inspection, make sure everything comes back the way it is. Otherwise, that's what the security deposit's for. And then both my renters this time, or for this month, opted into like the additional insurance. I think they pay like $300 extra a trip to have insurance through RV Share. So hopefully, you know, if anything catastrophic were to happen, you know, RV Share will cover that. That's kind of a controversial subject on what I've seen of whether or not they're going to actually honor anything. But like I said, we'll see. I obviously have my own insurance on the camper, so if RV Share doesn't help, at least I have that. But you know, ideally, I would not. I mean, hopefully, I don't have to deal with that at all. But that's kind of what's going on. Wanted to share some updates. Sorry, I kind of rambled. The video went way longer than what I intended on it going. But it's been a while since I made a video, and just wanted to give a quick update. Let me know what people think in the comments. You know, if there's any videos that you want to see, let me know, and I'll try to make them. But I mentioned it a few times now where I was going to cut back, especially for the summer when I'm not running as much, and I have. So I've cut back a lot on the YouTube. I still see a little bit of growth, like a couple subscribers here and there that trickle in, but it's definitely slowed down, which is fine. It's not like I'm monetized or anything like that. So, but yeah, let me know in the comments what you think. And if you're doing like RV transport, are you guys slow? Are you picking back up already? If you've been doing RV transport for years, how long does the July slowdown usually last? I've read a few things that say that it should be picking up by end of July, but you know, this is my first full year doing RV transport, and I don't know what to expect. So we'll kind of see how it goes. Once I know more, I'll update. As far as like us leasing on drivers, if I get any notification that we're going to be leasing on more, like I'll put that in. As far as for right now, that's on hold as far as I know. And also, I don't know that I've mentioned this in the past, but you can only get leased on with the company that I'm with if you live in Illinois, Wisconsin, or Indiana. I don't know if that's an insurance thing or if it's just a company rule because of distance away from our pickup yards, if we don't want someone that far. I know it was mentioned that, like, you know, like where I'm at, I'm only 2 hours. Like today, it's less than 2 hours to Elkhart. It took me like 1:53 is what it's saying. That way, if there's like a rush or hot load, you know, the person's not trying to come from like Florida, you know. So, you know, if I get the call that there's a rush load and I'm available to take it, I can be at the pickup in, you know, as little as 2 hours. So, that's probably part of what plays into it. But I don't know, like I said, if there's more like from insurance and things like that, if that's why we're only going with those 3 states. But just wanted to put that out there because I have had people reach out that live in like Tennessee and stuff, and if you live outside of Illinois, Wisconsin, Indiana, this won't be the company for you. So, but you know, if you have any questions, my email address is in the page information. Feel free to email me and I'll answer whatever questions I can. Leave the video a like and a comment.